Like, what was it that attracted you to these ideas?
All right, so I'll start with red pill slash MGTOW. Um, in Hispanic culture, especially like Puerto Ricans, like you hear our music, salsa, reggaeton, even when we do like English hip hop, like there's a lot of like, oh, mommy, I love you, baby girl, you're beautiful, blah blah blah, and shit. So growing up, I saw a lot of guys that I looked up to that, how I said, I started selling weed in my teenage years and shit. So the guys making a lot of money on the block and all that. Well, several different blocks because there was a lot of bouncing around as well. But that's a whole like another topic and shit. Um, due to again legislation, cost of living and shit. The guys that I looked up to and admired, I saw a lot of them get with like pretty girls, gorgeous girls, and then within like a year or two, you would just see them like in full blown regret, and they would complain about how the girls are costing them money, and how like a few of them, I'll never forget this one guy, Bito. Shout out Bito by the way. He had like long hair that he would like braid often, and during that time period, like like braids were like really like in style, and all the girls were like going crazy like over Allen Iverson and shit. So he was like a Hispanic, a Puerto Rican Allen Iverson. He was like light skinned and shit, like with the braids, fresh shape up all the time. And I wanted to be just like him. So I saw him get with a very pretty girl, and within due time, like he started like complaining about her, and he would vent his frustrations of how she was always asking him for money. And us being of Hispanic descent, we're very traditional as well in that aspect of like treating the woman. I'll correct that. I don't even want to say traditional. I would say like within that time period's default expectancy, like we carried that on for a very long time. Oh, the man takes care of the woman, and what the woman has to do is be loyal to her man, be kind to her man, respect and follow her man, which I will never say that a woman is obligated to do such things, but there should at least be respect and all that. And he was saying like like besides sex, what is this bitch doing for me and shit. And I actually watched him not get this pretty ass girl pregnant, but she when he wanted to like break up with her, um I'm about to blow his spot. Well, this is years ago. She smashed his car windows. And I said, oh shit. And then a little while after that, he decided to move because he was like, yo, like this bitch, like, like she gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna catch a case over her. So I think he ended up moving to Florida or Puerto Rico, one of those two, because he was talking about like living in the warm and shit. Like that's always been our thing, like we love warm weather. It's just New York City for a very long time was always like a place to like make money. It was very small business incentivized, and if you work in the block, each block on average, bare minimum will have 1,000 people, like just living there for the most part. It does vary, but within like city limits, 1,000 people. So it's pretty easy. You just selling dubs and dimes all day. You still gonna make money and shit. So Vito was somebody I wanted to be like yo, he gets bitches. Cause when I tell you the girl he dedicated himself to after I saw him like with so many different girls and all that, like she had big tits, fat ass, long hair, and she smelled good. Like I don't know now. I don't know what's going on with women, and I'm not saying all women. And tonight I don't want it to think all women, but we could agree that it is a bigger portion leaning towards the majority. Especially as technology has advanced, like we've seen a lot more of it. And then there's like women always try to play this same card, but now due to the advancement of technology, we've seen that the truth has been revealed, and women, again, they've been claiming the same card and all that. We found out that that's a bunch of fake news. So
What do you mean by the C card? And what do you mean by the C card? Like I
no,
said, here you
the
can
Saints, the Saints, the
card.
Saints. Yeah, the Saints card. That's what. Hey, my bad. Like if that wasn't understood, but the Saints card. Like they always try to make themselves like all holy and shit. Like we we um we grew up under some heavy indoctrination, and along with like a lot of track covering for women and and shit. And we've seen throughout the decades women become more and more promiscuous and less appreciative. And it's just like a guy like Vito that I looked up to, him like making the decision to move. I was just like, oh shit, like that sparked like a light bulb in my head to turn on. And then both my older brothers, I saw them go through shit with women. My middle brother, and he knows this is true. Like his first baby mother, they had a girl which is biologically my niece, but before the girl, there was a boy, and she was trying to say that it belonged to my brother when it actually didn't. And then my oldest brother, he and I were very close, very tight, and all that. Um, he when I was a kid, we would go to his apartment and shit from time to time, like to spend like some days there, like amongst family and shit. And I would try to like build like a cool friendship with my nephew, but my nephew had his mother's genes as well, and she came from a horrible upbringing, very traumatizing, and she never got over it. So she was a very toxic woman. So she would often put my oldest brother through shit, and then I saw that behavior through my nephew as well. A lot of her characteristics like continued on through his entity as well. So I saw my oldest brother go through that, and then later on as a teenager, when we had moved to a new apartment, like my father had gotten like a great deal on this big apartment. Like I had a gigantic room during that time period. Like the room was huge. It was like the size of like two average size bedrooms put together and shit. So you could fit two king size and and a full bed in there and still have like
That's
some space. A huge room, I got it, thank God and shit. And my oldest brother, he had called one night, and this was like during spring of my freshman year in high school. And he was like, yo, I was wondering if it's cool with you. Like, dad told me to ask you if I could just move in with you guys for like a year or two, because his baby mother, his first wife, because he did get married a second time, but that's like whatever.
yeah.
But the first
That's all
time,
you
like,
gotta say. It's like whatever. Yeah, that's all you gotta say. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but the first time, like, there was a lot more like dedication involved and shit. She financially destroyed him to the point that he had to come back and shit. And I saw him struggle. I watched my other brother struggle. Like I said, like guys like Beto and a few other guys, some of them got girls pregnant, other guys didn't. But I saw a lot of guys like within some time period, sooner or later, like these women, as beautiful and angelic as they look, will bring some level of misery or problems to men. And then back in New York City in the 90s and early 2000s, when I was coming up, there was a few different neighborhoods where massive like neighborhood wars erupted due to women being promiscuous. Like they'll be fucking with such and such from this neighborhood who's a big name. And you remember during that time period in comparison to now with the advancement of technology, you could Skype people or whatever and bust your move and shit. The war on drugs is unconstitutional, by the way. I want to put that out there, and I'll explain more of that later as we go forward and shit. But back in the day, you had to be outside, so you would hear these guys talk
Okay.
outside. Yeah, you would see like what's going on, like in real person. And these wars erupted because you'll have guys like from one neighborhood, this group of guys will come over here looking for such and such from this block for fucking with this woman and all that. They never held the female accountable. Again, heavy indoctrination. And it led to like a lot of block wars and shootouts. And then when guys finally started coming to their senses, they realized, yo, we could have been making a lot more money together. And we're beefing over women that nobody's really fucking anymore. Like the beef will go on 3, 4 years down the line, and the woman left the picture like months ago. She might have gone to Brooklyn and started fucking with a guy, or Queens to start fucking with a guy, or Lower East Side to start fucking. She could have gone. She could have gone to Connecticut, like so many different places, Yonkers.
All the dudes are continuing to beef.
Exactly. While the dudes are continuing to beef, and it's just like, what the fuck are we fighting over at this point? And a lot more realization was brought about when the younger guys would beef with each other, not know what they're beefing about, and then guys started getting killed, and then those who did the killings will get arrested and shit. And it's just like what was the nucleus cause of this issue? Oh, because this female was fucking with this guy from over here, this guy from over there, and boom, shit just got crazy after that. So it's been it's been
So
a
like,
lot of like early on life experience.
yeah, you saw this and you